Something at bantamweight this weekend. We have Ashlee Evans-Smith representing America at 6-5, taking on the former Samurai Fight House champ Ailin Perez. Matt, Argentinian MMA. It's on the skids, bud. And you got two of those fighters.
There was only about 5 fighters from there to begin with. So on the skids, if 2 of them aren't doing well, you could say on the skids. Very small sample size.
It's bad. And for the Samurai Fight House lore, you've got Ailin Perez in this fight. You also have Francisco Prado fighting later on the card. So overall, if we do figure, how this fight could go, Ailin Perez was a very, very aggressive fighter on the regional scene. And you saw her fighting on the foam tiles when she was over with Samurai Fight House during the pandemic, getting a win over Tamiris Vidal. No, she decided to land a bunch of illegal knees in that one and ends up getting the L. So if you look at it for Perez, builds her way back up, fights a poor level of competition, ends up in the UFC, takes on Stephanie Egger, who takes the fight on short notice, so therefore that one was up at featherweight. Perez just fighting like a bat out of hell at the start of that one. She's trying to go for takedowns, and Perez is one of those fighters that she kind of looked like Yulia Stoliarenko when she was fighting against Chelsea Chandler. If I don't get the takedown, you might end up in mount, and I might get submitted, but I'm going to go for it anyway. So Perez gets to right the ship, taking on Ashlee Evans-Smith, who's coming off of, and I'll pop it right up there. This is the feature doing it live. So Ashlee Evans-Smith, C5, C6 vertebrae. She got that one worked on. Artificial disc replacement over on her Instagram. Also coming off of a USADA suspension is Ashlee Evans-Smith. So she hasn't picked up a win since she beat out Bec Rawlings out of the UFC at UFC 223 when Ally Aquinta challenged Khabib Nurmagomedov for the lightweight belt.
An oddly memorable card.
That was when Bec Rawlings lost Ashlee Evans-Smith. Evans-Smith has been off doing boudoir photography and getting ready from the injury. So I'm eager to see what version we get out of her in this one, because for Evans-Smith, her last time out, 135-pound fight against 139.5-pound Norma Dumont. And Smith looked uncomfortable. I mean, the broadcast touched on the fact that she kind of said that maybe there were some injuries, but she wouldn't say what they were.
She didn't seem to be that aggressive version of herself that we had seen in the past, but that's the thing. It has been a while since we've seen a consistent level of just activity out of Ashlee Evans-Smith, because like you bring up, not only has it been this long layoff, there have been another few breaks throughout her career, and for Smith, I'll be really interested to see how long those injuries have really taken a hold on her, because for Ashlee Evans-Smith, she's not a grinder in the sense of like a Raquel Pennington, but she is going to make you feel her force. And I'm glad you bring up how Ailin Perez will go for some of the more kind of suicide takedowns, right? Like she will give up that top position, going for her own takedowns. Is Ashlee Evans-Smith going to be able to make use of some of those positions enough? Because if she is pulled into mount, and if she is the heavier fighter on top, which she's definitely shown those abilities in the past throughout her game, if she can get off good elbows and really make Perez just hold her weight and try to be active on the ground, I do think Ashlee Evans-Smith, is going to need the takedown in this matchup to have success. And I know that might be wild to say because Perez is a talented grappler herself, but Ashlee Evans-Smith has that ability to hold her opponents down. And again, I'm not saying she's like a Khabib Nurmagomedov like you brought up, but that is one of her highlighted skills. And for Perez, I'm really curious to see if she can start to scramble out of some of those positions, because I do think I'll favor Evans-Smith once they hit some of the more set positions. If we do get into a half guard situation, a full guard situation, okay, full guard's dangerous for anybody, but you understand what I mean. If she can be heavy on top, I think she can have a lot of success. But if Perez can get her shoulders off of the mat and not just be pinned down for moments, minutes at a time, I think Perez can have a lot of success in the more scrambles when they're not so magnetically close to each other.
This fight sucks.
Well, I don't think it's great either.
Evans-Smith,
you're not selling this card to the wider public, Craig, I must say.
It's not my job to. Evans-Smith, if you go back, you look at her fight against Dumont, really, for Evans-Smith, it is a lot of leg kicks in certain fights, but it's a lot of boxing in other fights.
And only to the one level. I'm glad you bring that up. Yeah. Not a lot of body or head kicks.
No, so if you look at it for Ashlee Evans-Smith, I mean, coming back into this one, she did an interview very, very recently with Up Next Fighting, and it was almost like a puff piece, and she said, and I quote, "I had spine surgery that I was dealing with, as well as a few other little nagging injuries, and again, back September 22nd of last year, C5, C6, it's like she's major. Jack Eichel getting that surgery."
I was thinking Edge the wrestler, personally.
The old disc replacement. So if you do look at it for Evans-Smith, what's her last quality, big, good time fight? I wouldn't say that the Bec Rawlings performance was. I'd say the fight that she had against Veronica Hardy, and that one plays into this one because Perez, shorter for the weight class, she plays around on the outside, she throws a lot of the kicks, and Evans-Smith was able to cut that range at the very end of that fight and then go out there and ultimately earn the finish. It was a lot of elbows there from half guard in the ground and pound position. So if you do look at it for both these women, again, for Perez, combined opponent record coming into the UFC, 13-13-5, and getting ready for this fight, she is training out of that big-time gym. It's MMA Masters, Danny Chavez, and the like over there. Who else made the migration there from Brazil, Matt? Priscilla Cachoeira. So we have a look at this matchup. I mean, Ailin Perez, Ashlee Evans-Smith, MPTV saying that we're going with Perez. Donnie Dimes has Perez as well. If you consider this one, again, it's a really long layoff for Evans-Smith. The last time that she fought was back in 2020. The last win that she has is Beck Rawlings, who's of BKFC fame. Since then, Perez is the slight favorite. We have a look at the Topology votes. Surprised to us as they are to you. I'm going to say over-under 70% Perez.
I think they'll be over.
I think they're going to be over. They're way over. 1,192 total votes. 87% Perez. 80% by decision for the 13% that have Evans-Smith. 81% by the decision. So the fancy decision in this one, Perez known as a finisher and somebody that's going to be like a dog in a bone with her grappling. I think Ailin Perez wins this fight, but I'm eager to see these two square off on Friday to at least see the physicality out of somebody like Ashlee Evans-Smith, because she is quite a big fighter for 135 pounds, which is crazy to say because she's fought at flyweight as well.
And I feel like if she didn't have the layoff, I would be more likely to pick her, because we bring it up, there are some set positions in this fight where she can definitely have success in, but I agree with your prediction overall. I do have Perez in the matchup, and I think she can have some success on the mat. Again, that's going to be a difficult proposition, because if Evans-Smith can get that top position, that's kind of her X factor, so you want to watch out for that, but I still think Perez can get it done.
Be an interesting one in this matchup, considering, again, Stephanie Egger took that fight on short notice, exactly. And it was a lot of those scarf hold throws that caught Ailin Perez in disadvantageous positions. This show is live, and we don't know who's picking what, so I can't throw the picks up there, but I will say them for those that are listening. Both of us going with Ailin Perez in the matchup. Up next, Matt, we're talking Alexander Munoz taking on Carl Deaton III. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.